Hey, I'm Martin McGrath from Financial Edge Group, and today I want to talk to you about a contribution to super, a relatively new type of contribution called a downsizer contribution. So what a downsizer contribution is in relation to when you downsize your home. Now that's the label of it. It's a bit more complicated, a bit more simple than that, in the fact that you actually don't have to get a smaller house. You have to spend less on a house, but it's definitely got to do with changing your house or home situation. And it's pretty complicated, but it's our job to know the detail. I want to try and summarize that now in a quick little video talking about a downsizer contribution. So what that looks like is if you sell your home and you've got some money left over because you are downsizing in price, maybe downsizing in size, or if just something else has happened that you've got some extra money you want to put into super, you can do so under a downsizer contribution. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, it depends upon your circumstances, but generally money inside of super is the much preferred tax environment. If it's set up the right way in retirement, we're not paying any tax on the money inside of super. There are certain limits about how to get money in and how much you can get in. We've got a whole bunch of other resources and materials talking about that stuff, but generally we want to get as much into super as possible as a general rule. Now, what the downsizer contribution is the limit is $300,000 per person. So potentially as a couple, that means that we can put $600,000 into super. Now, we might not have that much, so that's fine. We don't have to use the whole limit, but we can use up to that limit. If it's single, $300,000, a couple, $600,000. Now, there are some rules. There's a few rules around this. It's important to check the detail, but at a very simple, high level, the three biggest rules or important rules that I think are important to flag is, one, the money needs to go in within 90 days of selling the property. So it's not something that we can just, remember a few months later and whack it in. Ideally, we want to plan for it. When we get the money, the proceeds, put enough aside to buy the new property and figure out how much is left over to put back in. So one is it needs to go in within 90 days. It's important to have a plan to make sure that happens in the right manner. Two, it needs to be a home that you've lived in. So not just a pure rental property, it's a house or a home that you've lived in for a period of time. There's some more specific rules, but just generally it's a home residence that you've lived in, and you've got to have owned that property for greater than 10 years as a general rule. So if it's only been your home for a couple of years and you're changing again, probably don't meet that condition. We need to have owned that property for more than 10 years. There's a bit more detail in that. If you've got a specific question, feel free to reach out and happy to answer it. And then the third requirement is around your age. And this is changing. The downsizer contribution has always been that you've got to be 65 years of age to make the contribution. And now it's in a recent budget that's reducing down to 60 years of age. So it opens up an opportunity for a lot more people to make that contribution. There's a few more details. You need to do certain forms with the ATO, make sure you're putting the right super fund, making sure you're not paying enough fees. But if you are over 60, you're selling your home and you're looking to make sure your super and retirement is sorted, definitely need to think about this, strategy around this. There's some extra contributions you can do on top. There's a strategy working for a client at the moment. We're going to help them basically put about 1.2 to nearly $1.3 million into super from selling their house. They're not going to pay any tax on any of that money, but it's going to be in a much preferred tax environment for the rest of their life. So if you're aged over 60, 65, definitely reach out. Let's have a chat and see how that might apply to you.